What's up everybody, it is Jay here, and today I wanted to talk about masculinity. Obviously, everybody's experiences are different, and my experience with masculinity is obviously different from that of a cis man as a trans person. So I wanted to just talk about masculinity from my experience and from stuff I've observed in the community and just in my life in general. Um, First of all, I wanted to address the question of, am I masculine? Some will say yes, some will say no. I feel like I am definitely not that masculine. Let's put it that way. There are certain things about me, obviously, that are masculine. I have a very masculine body at this point. I have body hair, I have facial hair, I have short hair on my head, etc., etc. I have a very masculine body. I have a flat chest, so that's a fairly inalienable part of how masculine I appear to people. But in terms of how I dress, I prefer to dress on the more feminine end of men's clothing. I'm not comfortable wearing women's clothing, but that is just because of my identity as a trans person. It brings me back to a more uncomfortable time in my life. Whereas, men's clothing, there are ways for me to wear men's clothing that feel like, they're a little softer, they're a little more feminine, that I like. I like to appear in that way. In the same breath, there are things that I find really enjoyable that are very stereotypically masculine. I go into the gym, but on the other hand, a lot of my mannerisms are very, very feminine, and I know that people definitely think that I'm gay when they meet me, which obviously fine. I don't care what you assume about me, but people definitely don't meet me and think, ah, yes, the most heterosexual man on the planet. I have a lot of feminine mannerisms, a lot of feminine behaviors that, I don't have a problem acting like this, being like this. I prefer to be seen at this more feminine end of maleness because that's just what makes me comfortable. I don't want to be a walking, talking male stereotype. Which, obviously, if you want to be very stereotypical male, that's fine. But I don't. So the lead on from that is, was I ever masculine? A common experience, definitely, that I've heard other people say is that when they were not out, when they were in the closet, then they didn't know they were trans, they were seen as this very, very, very masculine girl, and then they came out and they were a very feminine man. And I would definitely echo that experience. I definitely feel like I was seen as more masculine when I was presenting as a girl than I am seen now presenting as a man. But that's obviously just because our view of what is masculine and feminine for men and women is very different, and it is a bit of the expectation for how masculine men are meant to be versus how masculine women are meant to be obviously means that my level of masculinity that I like is high for women and low for men. Obviously, this is all very stereotype, gender roles bullshit that shouldn't exist anyway, but that is how it be in this bitch of an earth. So I was definitely more seen as more masculine when I was presenting as female and when I was in the closet. And even when I originally came out, I felt the need to act and try to be more masculine than I really am, because I felt like it legitimized my identity to other people around me. Now, in reality, if I had to act as masculine as possible for other people to see me as legitimately male, then those people's opinions didn't matter anyway. But obviously, that's something that I can only say in hindsight from a privileged perspective. In the moment, at the time, being seen as legitimately male was important to me for my day-to-day life. It was important for me for being seen to be comfortable at school and stuff like that. I wanted to be seen as legitimately male because it would make my life easier while I was at school to not have to deal with transphobia and to be seen as just a legitimate man. So the lead on from that is, do I have to be masculine? The obvious answer is no. Obviously, there are people out there who will look at you as a trans man or a trans masculine person and be like, well, you're not masculine enough, so you can't possibly be trans. And you know what that is? It's bullshit. Because how you present yourself is not your identity. Your identity is this innate personal thing. It is within. And my maleness does not come from my short hair, my beard, my flat chest, any of those parts of me. My maleness comes from whether you feel like it's heart, body, mind, soul. It's internal. It's not how you look or present yourself. And granted, those things often go hand in hand. For me, being male does involve certain presentations because that's what makes me comfortable. That's how I like to feel. That's how I like to look and how I like to act. And that's completely fine. But there's no reason that you should ever feel obligated to act more masculine to feel legitimate. Now, obviously, as I said earlier, sometimes, even though you know, realistically and logically speaking, that you don't have to be this big, buff, mask for mask lad to be a real, legitimate man or transmasculine person, you might just have to embody that role anyway for your safety, for your comforts, for your security. I would definitely say to anybody who is younger or earlier in their transition that the further along you get in your transition, the more comfortable you generally get with stuff you weren't comfortable with before. I didn't like wearing pink at all when I came out. I thought pink was so fucking ugly. And like, this is, I know you can't see it very well because of the saturation of this shirt with this lighting, but this shirt is pink. I have other pink shirts. I have other colours in my wardrobe now that I wouldn't have worn when I had just come out because I felt paranoid about not being seen as masculine enough. Or even like, God, I don't know. I have a lot of nice shirts that have flowers on them. I really like flowers in designs, and I wouldn't have engaged with anything like that when I had just come out because I would have been paranoid about being seen as too feminine at the time. So the longer you're out, the further your transition progresses, the more comfortable you will get with stuff that is more stereotypically feminine. And obviously you don't have to engage with any of that kind of stuff, but you do tend to become more comfortable and more secure in your identity and your masculinity, however masculine or unmasculine that masculinity is. And last but not least, I wanted to address the idea of what the fuck masculinity even is. Because the way I see it for me is that masculinity is a very abstract concept. A lot of the stuff that goes along with the concept of masculinity is, you know, old gender roles, old gender stereotypes, and I think that today in this modern world, you know, you can do whatever you want, you can be whatever you want. There are different ways to be masculine. I feel like I present myself in a masculine way, but there are aspects of how I present myself and how I act that aren't masculine. And I think that's okay. They don't fit the stereotype of masculinity. Like my wearing of pink, my wild hand gestures, my being flamboyant in some respects. That stuff isn't considered stereotypically masculine. But I feel like for me, that's all part of my masculinity. Because for me, my idea of masculinity is, yes, I'm a man, yes, I want to be masculine, but I don't want to be hard. I don't want to be rough. I want to be very soft, I want to be very approachable, I want to be very kind, and I want to have those more sensitive, softened aspects of myself while still being a man and still being a masculine person. So at the end of the day, masculinity, to a certain extent, is whatever the fuck you want it to be. Because at the end of the day, it's all about what makes you happy, what makes you comfortable, what keeps you safe. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please do click the like button down below. The comment section is open if you have any questions about anything I've said in this video, or anything else for that matter. I do delete exceedingly rude comments, so don't even bother. There are other videos of this ilk on my channel, which you can probably check out up here somewhere, and there is also a subscribe button down there if you are interested in seeing more of my content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.